Hi everyone, Kim here from Expression Artworks. As you can see, I have lots of things on my table, including a 12 by 12 inch wood panel, a beautiful transfer from Essential Stencil, butterfly and floral, some ribbon. I have my paint. I have a stencil that I already pre-cut. I have all my brushes, and now I'm getting ready to start painting. So I'm using two different colors that I blended together to make this pretty burnt orange color. Actually, the burnt orange, the color is burnt orange, as a matter of fact, and that's by Americana. And then I have a Prairie Sunset by Folk Art. So I mixed those two colors together because I like the idea of having the burnt orange, but I wanted it a little bit lighter, because when I looked at that transfer that I'm going to be applying, there's pretty tones of orange in the butterfly because it's a monarch butterfly, and also some of the floral underneath has some creamy orangey tones to it. So I thought this might be a nice background to tie in. So I just want to make sure I completely paint the surface of the wood and get all around the sides. I'm just adding a little bit more paint because I did not judge it too well and I ran a little short, so I just want to add a little more. So I make sure I completely cover the surface. And as you could see, mixing those two colors together created the color that you're seeing. I'm also using a antique glaze from Craft Master and a white chalk paint by Folk Art. I'll be using the white paint for my stenciling, and I'll be using the antique glaze just to kind of soften up the edges. You'll see it very soon with what I'll do with that. Just giving it a different look. So here I am just painting all the sides. This wood board is actually pretty heavy. I didn't realize it at first, but it's definitely a nice solid heavy piece. It has some knots in it, so it has a lot of character. So now that I have all my sides painted, I'm going to go ahead and dry it because I want to make sure the surface is fully dry before I apply my transfer. Otherwise, the transfer won't adhere to the wood. So I'm placing that to the side because I have this little wood tag here that I am going to paint with a couple of coats of the white chalk paint that I have. And I have cut out previously a small butterfly. It's actually rice paper. And I decided I wanted that image on my tag because at the end I'm going to be wrapping around the tag around the ribbon that I'm going to be putting on. And I just thought it would be a cute little accent piece to tie in with the ribbon. So like I said, applying 2 coats of the paint, getting the sides. I'm going to dry that as well before I apply my butterfly. And with rice paper, it has some threads in it. It's a different texture paper. It's not like your normal paper or cardstock paper or scrap paper. It's very thin. It's got some threading in it, and you can't just tear it like you would normally a piece of paper. So I'm just taking with some water and my brush, going around the sides of the image, and this allows me to be able to gently tear the paper because I'm looking more for a jagged edge. I don't want a straight line look. So I'm just lightly tearing around the edges, softening it up. And as you could see some of the threads. So what I'll do here is I'll take some of my Mod Podge, which I am looking for right now because I misplaced it and I wound up putting it in the wrong spot. And then I realized that I had it in another spot, so sorry for the little hold up there. So I'm just going to apply a thin coat of my Mod Podge, and that's going to act as a base and allow me to apply the butterfly right on the tag. From there, once I place my butterfly where I want it, then I'll use the Mod Podge again, and that'll act as a sealer, and that'll protect the image. I'll leave that to the side to dry. Yep, there you go. So pretty. It's got some different colors in it than the other butterfly. So I'll grab my other piece of wood, make sure it's dry. And then I'll be ready to apply my stencil. So again, my stencil, not my stencil, I'm so sorry, my transfer. My transfer is from Essential Stencil. I'm going to first sand my piece. I just kind of want to smooth out the edges, make it nice and smooth. If there's any kind of roughness from the wood, and any little pieces that need to come off. And then I wanted to sand the edges a little bit. So now I'm ready for the transfer. It's so beautiful with the butterfly and the floral underneath and the greenery. I get a lot of transfers from Essential Stencil, and actually some of my brushes and also some stencils that I use are also from Essential Stencil. I'm putting the transfer at the bottom because I want to put my Spread Your Wings and Fly on the top of that. And right now I am just applying pressure over the transfer and going in different directions because I want to really make sure it adheres. Sometimes there's a little resistance, and with this time I did experience that as I was peeling the clear top away from the image. So I just went very slow, and as it was starting to come up, I just pressed it back down, as you could see here, and just kept applying pressure. And as you peel away slowly, you could see if something's coming up, and then you could just put it right back down. Here I had a little bit more problem, so I used some of the heat from the blow dryer to help it along its way so it would adhere better. I felt like because it was a little bit more resistant than usual, it just needed a little bit of heat to give it a push. So now you can see it's peeling away a lot easier. I just wanted to be careful because of all the the wings of the butterfly, all the layers, the antenna in the middle. So I just really took my time and gently pulled away. And the minute I saw a little of the image coming up, I just stopped right there and kept pressing down, just so I could make sure that it would all stay. There you go. I got it down. It's just so pretty. And it blends so nice with the background. So now I'm ready for my stencil. So I previously cut that out earlier on my Cricut machine. And I'll apply my transfer tape over the stencil, so I could also adhere that down on the wood. And I'll go through the same process using my scraper and just making sure that that transfer tape is sticking to the vinyl. So when I peel away the backing, that will all stay in place. So I'm centering where I want the saying to be. And I will remove the transfer tape so I could get ready to paint. Again, I'm using the white chalk paint to paint in my words. I want to make sure before I just take my brush and paint right on the stencil, I'm offloading it on the paper towel because I don't want too much paint on my brush, just to make sure it doesn't go underneath the lettering. And then I'm just applying it in a circular motion with a little bit of pressure but not too much, and just making sure that I cover all my letters. That area was being a little resistant. It wanted to, there was like a little air pocket, and the vinyl kept on lifting there, so I had to make sure that I kept it down with my finger, not to have any paint get underneath. So after I carefully removed that vinyl, I just went in with my weeder and on an angle, just taking out those little vinyl pieces that are inside the lettering. So this was the antique glaze that I was talking about. It's like actually between like a glaze and a wax, and I am using it with a stencil brush because what I'm looking to do here is just kind of dirty up the sign a little bit. It's going to create like an aged look, a distressed look, and I'll go all around the edges. I'm holding the brush on an angle because I'm not looking to get too much paint right on the surface. It's more for the edges, so by holding it on the angle, it's not like you're going straight down as if you're painting. And this will just lay right on top of the paint. It doesn't soak in. And you could use as much or as little as you want, depending on what result you want. Just gives it a nice border. And like I said, when you're looking more for that aged, distressed look, this is a nice technique to use. And you could do this with really anything. It doesn't have to be a wax or a glaze. You could also use it with another color of paint, another shade of paint. You can use it with a stain. Once I got my sides done, then I decided that I just wanted to go back in. The brush was pretty dry. I did have to dip it in a little bit more and then offload it, but I wanted it to be a pretty dry brush, and I just wanted to dirty up the sign a little bit too. And I think it gave it a really nice look. And just added upon the edging that I had already done. I didn't want to do too much, so once I was happy with my results, then I knew that was enough. This is some ribbon that I'm using for my messy bow. I have some burlap, some lace, and then these two are really nice. They're velvety and soft. But because they were a little wider, I decided that once I cut my desired length, I was just going to cut them in half and make them a little bit not as wide. So this is my messy bow that I created using all of that ribbon, and I stuck a piece of jute twine in there. So from there, I'm just taking another piece of jute twine and wrapping it around the bow, and I'm just going to make 2 knots at the back. Just make sure all the ribbon is securely in place. I chose to put my ribbon on the left-hand corner there. So I'm just going to take my glue gun and put a little bit of glue on the corner of the wood and adhere that ribbon, and I'll just press down for a few seconds just to make sure it is secure. So that's almost my finished look. But then again, I did remember that I had my tag, so I went in after that and I just placed my jute underneath the ribbon after I put it through the tag, and I knotted it into the ribbon. I think it came out really good. I hope you enjoyed this. Thanks for watching, and I look forward to making a lot more videos. Bye.